Hey everyone, happy March. I just got back from Unpub literally yesterday, so I'm a bit tired and got a little bit of the con drop, missing my friends, but we must continue. Also, happy Trans Day of Visibility. I'm here, being visible. So for this month's subject, I want to talk about addressing the game's issues by making infrastructure changes instead of like minor tweaks. So I had been helping Maya Thomas develop her game Curse VHS, which is a really cool game about summoning soul fragments out of a VHS to try to save your souls. And we were trying to address this issue of like stagnation in the decision space, and with some various little things like we were trying curses to really amplify the tension on cooperative play to make it so you had to be like there was a lot more like temptation to defect, to be selfish, and you had to make a lot more selfless acts. We tried powers to sort of amplify the like disparity of like power dynamics between the players, along with VHS powers to break up like the player's ability to communicate and whatnot. But we were still like feeling like it wasn't quite right. It was feeling a little messy. And talking to Matthew Hawker, it felt like these were all band-aid fixes, and he wanted to see if we could change like the bones of the game. And luckily, Maya gave us a lot of leeway with her design, so we decided to give it a shot. We did some brainstorming, and I wish I could say it was an intellectual decision, but we were kind of just trying. I personally just like the idea of forming long chains of summons instead of like just small ones with your neighbors. To give a quick rundown, previously the game had you doing a prisoner's dilemma with your neighbors, and if you held, and if you both held, then you'd summon more resources to the middle, and if you reached, you would be able to get some resources for yourself. Unless they also reached, then you would just lose progress. The deck would drain. So what we were playing with was making it so that you had to form long chains of holds in order to like draw cards into the circle, and so the longer the chain, the more cards you'd summon, and then similarly, the more breaks that you had in the chain, the more progress you would lose. And then if you had a chain of like reaches, like just long breaks of like defections and grabbing, then there would be distortions, and those players would lose cards. So this improved the experience quite a lot. We were very surprised. After just a few play testing sessions and tweaking the numbers and incorporating some of the changes that I mentioned, like we found the game was really singing. Like we had taken out all the like extras, all the curses, the powers, and the all the things that had been added on, and the game was singing just on the bare bones now. And this was like really blowing our minds because like we've been adding lots of things to balancing. I thought that for sure we need to keep the curse system at the very least, but yeah, it was like singing, and like it was dramatic, and it had like a storied like experience all on its own. And looking back on it, like I feel like there's like a couple lessons to pull away from here. Like one is like the value, like this is like well treaded like advice, like the power of perspectives, like looking for people's like advice. Don't be afraid to kill your darlings, like be willing to try brand new things, like that's so and so. But like what I thought was like really interesting was like how much like issues were. So like I think what was happening upon reflection is that even like no matter how much of these like tweaks and powers and like random deviations we were adding on top of the experience, at the base fundamental level you were having like clear like interactions with just your neighbors. And so like all you really need to do was coordinate like with your neighbors, and then like you would either be on the same page, in which case the experience would largely be smooth, or you would not be on the same page and things would like clearly go south. And um so like you could like add dressing all you want on top of that, and like maybe some like powers would like briefly be able to swing things to favor one person over the other if they were like disparaging each other, or maybe like a little extra pressure like might make things like feel closer. But in the end, like the you only have to concern yourself with your local interactions, and that was fairly easy to figure out. But by making it so that you had to concern yourself with the whole table, all of a sudden the space is a lot more messy. Like, sure, maybe you could coordinate like with your neighbors, but could you coordinate with like everybody around the table? Like, you could make a plan to like summon stuff, but like who's going to be the one to reach to make sure we actually get anything? What if two people try to reach and what if like more than two people try to reach, or some people do double reaches and suddenly you're losing a lot of cards from the game? What if the one person who decides to reach takes everything? Like, there's so many more opportunities for people to be selfish and destructive, and with chains of reaches causing people to lose cards, there's like some incentive for you to not just be a little selfish gremlin. You have to like coordinate at least a little bit. So yeah, it was what we had done is we take a game that was like, where fundamentally you were concerned with just like establishing your local relationships, and changed it so that you had to like be concerned about the entire table's relationships. You had to be coordinated with everybody, not just your neighbors. And that introduced a whole lot of messy like space. Like, if your neighbor is no longer working against you, you could feasibly coordinate with the other players and still summon and work things out that way. Like, you weren't hosed because you had a crappy neighbor. Like we were having games where people were like stealing soul fragments so they could be passed around to like somebody that was like trying and like coordinating. It was awesome. So I feel like in general, when things are feeling stale and predictable, I feel like in general I want to like amplify the player interactions and player dependencies. Like, if things are feeling stagnant, I want players to be even more dependent on each other. And this was done on like a table-wide scale instead of like trying to amplify those interactions between your neighbors. Yeah, I hope that made sense. But in general, like, try breaking the foundation. If you're making lots of tiny little band-aid fixes and it's not working out, you might have a bigger underlying issue to address. Okay, excuse me. Did a lot of talking over the weekend. For the spotlight, I did play a lot of cool unranked games at Unpub, but there was one that I saw just like near the end of last month, and I didn't get a chance to talk. I got like a queue of unranked games I want to talk about now. Okay, so the game I want to talk about today is Andy's game Actual Size May Vary. Full disclosure, this is a competitive game, but I had I was fortunate enough to be able to try the multi-victor variant that Andy had designed, and I'm like really impressed with it. In general, the game has you placing these tiles of a different shade along with like a number that's tied to you by color. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to predict how many tiles of the same shade are going to be next to each other with the number that you place down on it. And there's like a limited number of these tiles and a limited number of your numbers. So like you might put a 3 on on a light tile and hope that 2 other light tiles end up next to it, but not a 4th, because then the number 4 would be the one that claim all the points in that like chunk. And so in a competitive game, gameplay is very much like kind of like a chess-like, trying to outmaneuver your opponents, trying to predict where they're gonna place their pieces, trying to trap them so they're forced to like build up your chunks without like being able to turn them over to their side, stealing chunks from other players, that sort of thing. But as a multi-victor game, it's like every single action is like a promise of goodwill, but also a thinly veiled threat. Like, I might be placing this tile here because I'm trying to help you get this chunk to the size that you predicted. Or I might be setting myself up to steal it later. Like, did I place that 4 onto your chunk to complete your 2? Or do I plan on adding like another 3 to it to actually steal it as a 4 or something like? And so it was magical because like I was playing with Maya and she said it was like the first time I thought Zoe might betray me. And I'm like a little cream puff in these kind of multi-victor games, but she was like, is it gonna is it gonna screw me over here? So I think that's powerful on its own. Yeah, it's really wild because it's like a abstract game. I personally struggle with designing abstract games, but it's really impressive to see like an abstract multi-victor game work so well. And the tweak that was necessary to make it multi-victor from the competitive original version was just like a tiny bit of randomization and then changing the goal from the most points to like a point threshold. And it's really impressive. It's really amazing. Yeah, I think that's really cool. All right. Okay, that felt like a lot. Time for some updates on my designs. I'm going to try and get through these kind of quickly. First up, my game Vibes is finally for sale on the Lunarpunk website. So if you're interested in that, you can buy it. It's also on BGG now. So go metric the metrics for me, please. Bread tests are going really well. I might make the walls as loud as the unrest in terms of like reminding the players not to do certain things. That's like the one thing players are consistently missing. Unraveled, I am loving the vigilante that I've added, like the anti trader role. And also I changed it so the conspirator would give like the answers of if evidence is linked or unlinked privately, and that was enough to really turn the tides in favor of the conspirator, and I really love it. It's perfect now. Conviction, getting better at rules writing. I'm probably going to play with some graphic design. I might just abandon all the like big icons I've been working with and just have like sentences. It's framed like it's a storybook anyway, so maybe that's fine. Closer. After I watched Annabelle's video on mechanics as metaphor, which I would highly recommend, love all of Annabelle's videos. She had like talked about science of the Sojourner, and I'm thinking I want to take a lot of inspiration from that game when I work on Closer. I didn't get a lot of time to do it though, but we'll get to it. I started work on a new game called Borrow's Potluck. I wanted to make a cozy Euro game that I actually like because cozy Euro games are kind of a big pet peeve of mine when they have victory points and stuff. So I wanted to design one that I felt like captured the essence of Euros and was actually cozy. So it's a game where you're borrowers gathering stuff for potluck, and there's like an abundance of everything because you're little tiny peoples, and the witch that lives there is very kind and just leaves stuff for you sometimes. So yeah, that's but it's not playable yet. It's yeah. That's everything. I'm so tired, y'all. I'm gonna go pass out right now. Good night. Bye bye. Oh wait, do I have anything next month? I don't think I do. Okay, bye.